referred to Rav Kook as Moran Shlita, as we see in some of his writings.
People assume you have to
and therefore, what we have before us is an account, a written account, in the handwriting, in the very hand of the Nazir, based on a conversation or conversations that he had with Moran Rav Kook on this issue. It goes without saying, I believe that many people hearing this will understand, will appreciate that there are many people who are generally identified with and associated with Rav Kook and his writings, who either are not aware of this text that I have before me, have never seen it. As I say, I never heard of it mentioned or spoken of anywhere at all to this day. A, many people are not familiar with this text. B, there may be certain individuals within the Rav Kook camp, shall we say, those who claim to be his disciples and to continue his work. There may be some who have seen it or are aware of it, but would be very, very displeased if this information were to get out. In other words, if they could, as with the writings of Rav Kook himself, and we know this for a fact, that there still are in existence today many writings of Rav Kook that had never been published, because there are individuals, certain well-known individuals,
Rabbanim, was leaking for a month and I didn't know.
Make it their business to deny access to these writings of Rav Kook to the general public, and even to a very limited public, for their own reasons, which we don't necessarily have to go into right here, but they feel obviously that it is better that people not know everything that Rav Kook thought and wrote.
I assume if they live in the district.
I obviously do not think so. I do not believe that this for one moment. I do not believe that Rav Kook spent his life writing all that material so that it would eventually be eaten by mice in some attic or some warehouse and crumble into dust, which is in fact what more or less has already happened to some of the earlier writings of Rav Kook from going back 120 years or so. Some of those early manuscripts have in fact reached the point where they are nearly illegible for these very reasons, which is of course a great tragedy. So there are definitely many people who do not know what Rav Kook wrote on this or spoke or said about this matter, and if they were to know, they would be the first to wish to hide this information from the Jewish people and from the world, which I believe is most certainly a misguided approach, to say the least, and therefore I choose to make this knowledge and this information public. And I have the written text in front of me again. Anyone who wishes to examine it and see for himself the veracity of what I have read from it. I can't read all the words, all the text there. As I said, there are 2 pages and a third page as well. He also speaks here about the Ramchal. Perhaps on another occasion I will quote other statements from these few pages, but the essential message is that Rav Kook and the Nazir were, on the one hand, great mystics, Mukubalim, who believed in the essential truth of the Kabbalah on the one hand. On the other hand, they were also well versed in the realities of literary styles and expressions and language that we find in different periods, and that one can, without doubt, identify the time period and the provenance of a text based on those indications of language, expression, and style. And they were familiar with the writings of the Abbas, as we mentioned, who wrote the Mitpahat Sefarim, a book on this very subject, which was quashed and hidden and not spoken about, and is generally today unknown. I, of course, do have both a photocopy of
what the hell is this title? I mean, like, Really? Are you escalating on your retardedness?
Intellectual property gives you the right to others' properties. It's a fact. Okay, let me put it like this.
Wait. Let me just. IP gives you right. Okay, I am anti-IP.
Yeah, I don't know why Simon can't understand this dynamic.
You cut off.
The original printings of that book, plus one of my teachers, Rabbi Ben Sion Kohen Zitzal, who taught me what I know regarding Lashon HaKodesh, that is to say, the correct pronunciation of the Hebrew language. He reprinted a new, very clean and easy to read and very well typeset and produced version, edition of this book, Mikbachat Sefarim Ba'di Abbas, a short time before he passed away.
Hello?
Which I also have.
Yeah,
Again, unfortunately, many people
did my whole rant
which
not get heard?
No, you want to mute.
What we see from all of this is
okay.
that
Let me just say one time.
I don't understand why Simon and then you want to mute.
Were able
Okay.
and willing.
Simon says that if a person, like let's say a company or a group of people, they own the quarry, like they literally mine the raw material. They own all the factories in their respective area, and they arrange matter, which has the input of their human knowledge and energy, in a particular arrangement. That if Simon can demonstrate to the monopoly of violence that arrangement of matter approximates the arrangement of matter which he first showed to the monopoly of force, that then the monopoly of force has the right to stop those people from doing that.
I fucking hate when
Or
communists
from
talk.
voluntarily trading that property with somebody else. And so if that's the case, if someone has the right merely because it approximates the arrangement of matter to somebody else, not because you've stolen anything, there's no matter taken from anybody else, that is effectively you having the right to another's property, but with no logical connection.
Okay, so your argument is not necessarily about stealing other people's property, but telling other people's telling other people what to do with their property, like not being able to commercialize it. So that keeps them access to it.
So like you know that ideas can't be owned because the government the government doesn't sell you the idea. You create the idea without the government, and then you tell the government about your idea. So the idea was yours, so to speak, in a metaphorical sense, before you got title to it, which doesn't even make any sense, right? That's not what's actually happening with intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights is a sophisticated way of asserting dominion over others' property, not protecting your own.
Yeah, but telling others what not to do with their property.
What not to do with the property. And that goes against Ayn Rand's, like every single thing she says about private property, which I amassed a few examples. Like, she's against this. She says any material element.
Let me ask ChatGPT what you think about private property.
But I already know Simon's going to be he's going to be against this because the fact that he wants a group of people to have essentially first-class status in a society against everybody else's second-class status shows you that he's not. I'm not saying I don't want to call him an anti-egalitarian because I don't believe in that, but he doesn't believe that there is a single morality. He believes that there are people that can violate. For example, there are people that can steal, and there are other people that can't steal. But he can't come up with a logical formulation why one group should be allowed to break the morality and the standard, as he calls it, and the other one can't do it.
Yeah.
And basically, it comes down to one can do it because they wear a uniform, and the other one can't do it because they don't wear a uniform and they're not part of the game.
Yeah. I didn't realize this. This is another thing that I'm in disagreement with Ayn Rand, because it says here that Ayn Rand strongly supports intellectual property as a moral right. Rand believes in IP rights as moral rights because they protect the product of the mind. Jesus Christ. Which she considered the root of all property. That's bullshit.
I mean, you can say that the mind is the root of all property. That's fine. I'm not against that statement.
Yeah, but you cannot own ideas.
But see, you have to understand. Well, here's the real kicker. You said, when you want to talk about morality versus jurisdiction, see, there's two different things. There's another distinction that Simon doesn't understand. Okay, jurisdicción, right? Mm-hmm. What exactly can the government do if you, quote unquote, violate intellectual property rights? What is their jurisdiction? Where does it end? Let me ask you that. Can they take the idea out of your mind?
No, they cannot take the idea, but the way that they rule is that they make claims, like they ask the accused person or the accused boy to pay, on those property rights or any. My God, no, he always sings, Diego.
I love him.
Anyway, so what they do is that they make you reimburse the owner of the idea for any money that has been made derived from that idea. So they will not take the idea away, but they will force you not to use it.
Yeah, but my point here is that their jurisdiction is limited to the physical. All they can do is point a gun at you. They cannot alter your mind. But then she's saying that's what we're protecting. We're protecting the foundation of all property. Okay, but that's not really what you're doing. All you're doing is you're living in the physical, and the mind is the metaphysical. So what you need metaphysical jurisdiction, which doesn't exist. We can't even conceive of. What would that be? You see what I'm saying?
Sort of.
All I'm saying is, Keith, that, like, for example, if someone says,
I don't understand what you mean by metaphysical jurisdiction.
Yes, in other words, the government jurisdiction ends at the point where they can't achieve an outcome using guns.
Okay.
So that means that they claim that they're protecting intellectual property, but in reality, they're just protecting property. Or, more accurately, they're just stopping people and violating property rights. They're violating the property rights. And so Simon can't come up with a justification for why should the government have the right to violate people's property rights when they have committed no aggression against someone else.
And what did he say?
No, his typical patent is like, put the standard, and there is no property rights without the government and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's stupid. And I also think it's dumb that Ayn Rand needs the protection of the government or like for ideas. I think there's nothing more communistic, I think, or authoritarian than using the government for these type of things.
Well, she was a movie writer.
Well, that might be the reason why she is for IP rights, but I think it's different when we talk about IP as in like copyright. Like you wrote a book or you came up with I don't know, a theory or whatever it is, that you want to make sure that it's always attributed to you. rather than, I invented, I don't know, the 3-leg table, and then nobody can make a 3-leg table other than me.
Yep. But you know what's bullshit too? Is that, like, how inconsistent the quote-unquote application of intellectual property is. So, like, what is the difference between the way the Google Play Store works and the App Store?
Well, the only difference is that the App Store is kind of like certified, and it's kind of like that's the reason why they don't have like an open source, because they want to verify every single app that is there.
But that's exactly what the Apple Store does too.
No, Google is more like an open source. The Android one.
But you can't get on the Play Store if you're like a virus. On the Play Store if you're a virus, right? Anyway, I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is, like, at its fundamental core, they do the same thing. Okay, yeah, there's other non-essential elements that differ between both of them, but essentially they're both places for repository.
And I ain't talking shit. I'll say this right to him, I swear. You guys have different versions. I'm saying that I'll accommodate all of your versions, and I'll still be right. And I'm like, bro, why don't you just say what actually happened? Right?
The what? The truth.
Apparently, different people have different narratives. Different people have different narratives.
You can't have different facts, though.
Say that again?
You can't have different facts.
Well, I guess the narrative in this case would be the fact, because, like, for example, I'm focusing on one part, like one sentence, not more than that, but like I have a primary piece that's important to me.
Like humans were having something like really unique than other kind of creatures. They started building things, painting, having a language. There is this kind of like behavior that is unlike others that are only starting to survive, which is, I think humans started thinking about life after death.
Phoenix, I think the one distinction is that we have written language. Other animals have language. Other animals build things. They may not paint things, but they sure do create a habitat that's very creative, right? It's like some birds create a very attractive nest for their mate. And if the mate appreciates that nest, then that mate will go ahead and breed with that other bird, right? So there is creativity in other animals than us.
Yeah, but you will find uniqueness, for example, when we talk about... But,
Phoenix, do you believe in evolution?
Yeah.
Word. Damn, we got no evolution deniers on stage. Bunch of heathens. Alright, I'm gonna keep reading. A less quick but more thorough argument from radiometric dating. We've dated things that are very old. Using radiocarbon dating, we've measured things to tens of thousands of years, older than the young Earth creationists say that the Earth is. Using other kinds of dating, measurements have been taken of the age of rocks from the moon and early meteors that are connected with the Earth. Most were dated to billions of years old, about 4.6 billion years in the case of early meteors that pounded Earth. Now, people often object to radiometric dating. These objections are technically wrong. While carbon dating can't be used to date certain kinds of objects, they can be used to date other kinds. Again, the radiometric dating methods is done by very qualified scientists, and the details are often complicated. There are sophisticated methods for teasing out if they're getting an errant reading. But one way we know that radiometric dating gets the right results is when multiple different ways of dating a rock converge, which has happened over and over again. If the methods went wrong, the odds are minuscule that they'd all go wrong in bizarrely specific ways and give the exact same dates. As one Redditor said, the World Trade Center was hit by the first airplane, and we all wondered what happened. I assumed it was an accident. When the second plane struck, we all knew the odds of two planes hitting the buildings 15 minutes apart by accident were vanishingly small. When two or more decay series yield the same date, we come up with the same conclusion.
Yeah, but the idea about a common ancestry, like one common ancestry, I doubt that. Like, I think there is like multiple kind of starting points in Earth that happened. So it is like not from just one cell and then that cell started, like everything in life is stemming from that cell. Now, like,
yeah, of course,
life developed in different places.
That's not what the evolutionary biologists think, though. I mean, it's, there's been multiple instances of, like wings, for example, have evolved several different times and several different branches. It's quite a complex tree, and I don't think we've got a good grip on it, but we haven't got a complete grip on it. But even the one we've got is pretty complex, so it's not just one cell pop and then all of a sudden there's life on Earth. It's a bit more involved.
Yeah, but if we found life in Titan, for example, like if we found life in Titan, they say that there is like water, a lot of water under the like ice, kind of freezing ice, and that water is splashed out of the ice. If we discover that there is life there, then we can combine that with what happened in Earth, and we cannot say they stemmed from the same kind of like one source and a common ancestry, but we will say that it is like water was necessary and therefore there is water, there is life. So maybe in the northern pole, life developed like bacteria or something, I don't know, like cells, and then there's a mushroom, then these kind of lives interacted with each other, and then it's not like one, I think.
But why would you not just go by the consensus of what scientists think, which there is one common ancestor? Why would you just sort of spitball your own guesses about this? Like,
What scientists said about it. I was in a Quranic school. I didn't study these things, but I don't know what scientists said. But what I know is that we look similar to monkeys, and like it seems like we have something common there. And that like it is not because I read a certain book or something. It is something that is obvious that there is this kind of evolution happening in nature.
I mean, if you keep going back, the similarities, like a monkey is like a kaluga, and a kaluga is like a squirrel, and a squirrel is like a rat, and a rat is like a mole, and a mole is like a lizard, and like a lizard is like a snake, and a lizard is like a frog, and a frog is like a salamander, and a salamander is similar to a mud skipper, and a mud skipper is a fish, and a fish is like, you just keep going back, and you keep finding these similarities, such that you go back far enough, the plants, the fungus, the animals, we all come back from similar things.
Yeah, but is it originated in one place? Like,
that's
I'm
what we
talking
think.
about like the first uncaused cause of biology, right? Is it like from one kind of primordial soup and then life developed in just one area and then it started spreading, or it's like developed in multiple places?
Yeah, so there's a Wikipedia page I'd like to point you to called Luca, the last human common ancestor. So they get last universal common ancestor. And there's all sorts of reasons to think that there was a last universal common ancestor. Like, for example, there's similar genes inside bananas and humans. There's similar genes inside fungus and humans.
Chris, you need
The best way to
to
explain that is that we have a
like,
common ancestry.
create
Otherwise,
shorts on
why
that
would God
YouTube
do it that
account.
way?
And even go, I guess you're live streaming on it.
Yeah, but
already,
I'm talking about
you need to
tweets,
create
for
some
example.
shorts and then upload
mushrooms
videos,
share
because I think it's
something
just
with humans, but
lives. I don't even know how you got to do
Trees.
just lives without
Yeah,
having
they do.
the number of subscribers required to even
fish no.
go live.
Coral
But
reefs
what I'm saying is, if you add more content,
and life in
it'll like
undersea, like
it'll
deep sea,
give the account more
and the
credibility.
life they find in like volcanoes that.
But you're very
existing
close. I
in
think
some
that could be
hot
like
water. It seems like.
well, see, the
yeah,
short-term brain rot
I don't
isn't
know.
going to stop, so it's technically long-term
So-
brain rot. That's what's happening here.
Here's what Wikipedia says about the last universal common ancestor.
This is long-term brain
That it was
rot. Like,
likely
it's not going
cellular,
to change for these
had a lipid
people, but
bilayer,
for us who are
a
capturing the
DNA,
intellectual
genome,
property of
and
other
ribosomes
people,
for protein synthesis,
you know, we're looking to
that
the
there are no
long term,
fossils that exist,
and that's why I say you need to
but
modify the short
the
term
biochemical traits are inferred
and enhance
from
your
genes and
short term
mechanisms shared across all
in
domains of life,
preparation for
things
a
such as
long
DNA
term.
replication, transcription and translation, repair enzymes, RNA polymerase, ribosomes, ion pumps, chemionemosis, and cell division, and it likely had a Wood-Lungal pathway for carbon fixation. that Luca was probably anaerobic, as in it didn't use oxygen, and may have lived in hydrothermal vents or metal-rich hot springs. It likely had 2,600 genes. It probably had enzyme cofactors like iron sulfur. I don't know what that means. Luca was not a simple protocell, but probably a relatively complex organism. It's not necessarily the first life form, but the most common ancestor of all current life. Horizontal gene transfer was common at the time.
I like how Sam never shares a green bean, but yet people keep going to his rooms because
evidence that given the genetic
kind of
similarities amongst all different
emotionally stable, for the most part, because of
a last universal
this app is so toxic. But Sam is addicted, isn't he? He's here all the time, creating all these debate rooms nonstop. It's like
colony of bacteria.
he doesn't work anymore.
Right?
He doesn't have a job. He's.
They can't live
I don't know if you know his
they have to live
backstory,
in
but he was
colonies.
married for 10
There's
years or
only
something.
one example of this.
And
I don't know the name, but if you look that up, you could easily
he
find
could
it.
be a trust fund baby.
Were you aware of that, Sam?
But he has read.
Fighting what
He's
exactly?
read the Tao Te Ching. He's read some Freemasonic stuff.
single
I've
point.
sent him things
Like
and he's read
bacteria,
it
right? They're not eukaryotes.
in his rooms.
So,
Just-
but they live
just
in
doesn't
colonies,
care.
and they will die if you remove
He's an
one of
atheist.
them. They can't survive outside of the colony. So you're seeing almost like a transition between bacteria to a multicellular
Ravos, here's
organism.
another genius.
And it exists now.
There's this thing called, I'm going to butcher the name of it, Dictyostelium dicoideum, which is a slime mold that exists as individual amoeba cells when the food is plentiful. But when resources are scarce, they aggregate into multicellular structure. They form a, quote, slug that moves collectively to a new location.
Can I stop you? They cannot survive on their own at any point.
And eventually a fruiting body develops through these source.
Okay, like I said, they can't survive on their own. So if they are grouping together under some sort of external stress, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm not talking about what you're talking about. I'm just talking about the fact that there's single-cell organisms.
External stress.
They've shown that they can sometimes form into multicellular things during times of stress, which is kind of points to the transition from singular. If we already have things that are sometimes single-cell and sometimes multicellular, depending on context, that kind of gives you some clues that this sort of thing can happen. And that's probably why multicellularity evolved at all.
I'm not talking
I
about
like to think about alien biology. That you understand the word?
alien biology.
Yeah, I mean, alien biology, if we find aliens and we learn about them, we're going to learn so much about ourselves. We're going to figure out what things are contingent about life and what things are necessary for life, which will be really useful to know.
Muslim
Yeah, but
science.
I mean, if we got invaded, for example, by aliens, it's not.
From the standpoint of know-how, the only difference between the miner of graphite and Ceylon and the logger in Oregon is the type of know-how. Neither the miner nor the logger can be dispensed with any more than the chemist at the factory or the worker in the oil field, paraffin being a byproduct of petroleum.
We're going back and forth between worlds. We've reached the center of stupidity, the gravity, the center point of the universe, the ultimate stupidity, the super stupid hypnosis.
Each one wants me less, perhaps, than does a child in the first grade. Indeed, there are some amongst the vast multitude who never saw a pencil nor would they know how to use one. Their motivation is other than me. Perhaps it is something like this.
Chillism.
What you want from it, so that it can give you that information. Otherwise, you can say all these erratic things. Like for AI to claim a religion, it's just it's bogus. It doesn't.
Yeah, I can. Well,
Free yourselves, Chillism brothers. This is a mind virus hypnosis that Nathan and Tali have been doing for years. Free yourself from this pit of hell.
no, I was just gonna say, just give you the specific video that I watched. There's a lady from Australia. Ironically, the guy is from Australia, but her name is Lily J. She's apparently a singer, like a pop star out there. I have no idea, but I learned about her, and I learned that she reverted to Islam, and it was pretty darn amazing to me. I was like,
could even record, let alone direct the quantum changes in molecules that transpire in the lifespan of a tree. Such a feat is utterly unthinkable. I, pencil, am a complex combination of miracles: a tree, zinc, copper, graphite, and so on. But to these miracles, which manifest themselves in nature, an even more extraordinary miracle has been added: the configuration of creative human energies. Millions of tiny know-hows configurating naturally and spontaneously in response to human necessity and desire in the absence of any human masterminding. Since only God can make a tree, I insist that only God could make me. Man can no more direct these millions of know-hows to bring me into being than he can put molecules together to create a tree. The above is what I meant when writing, if you can become aware of the miraculous which I symbolize, you can help save the freedom mankind is so unhappily losing. For if one is aware that these know-hows will naturally, yes, automatically arrange themselves into creative and productive patterns in response to human necessity and demand, that is, the absence of governmental or any other coercive masterminding, then one will possess an absolutely essential ingredient for freedom, a faith in free people. Freedom is impossible without this faith. Once government has had a monopoly of a creative activity, such for instance as the delivery of the mails, most individuals will believe that the mails could not be efficiently delivered by men acting freely. And here is the reason. Each one acknowledges that he himself doesn't know how to do all the things incident to mail delivery. He also recognizes that no other individual could do it. These assumptions are correct. No individual possesses enough know-how to perform a nation's mail delivery any more than any individual possesses enough know-how to make a pencil. Now, in the absence of faith in free people, and the unawareness that millions of tiny houses would naturally, miraculously form and cooperate to satisfy this necessity, the individual cannot help but reach the erroneous conclusion that mail can be delivered only by governmental masterminding. If I, pencil, were the only item that could offer testimony on what men and women can accomplish when free to try, then those with little faith could have a fair case. However, there's a testimony galore. It's all about us and on every hand. Mail delivery is exceedingly simple when compared, for instance, to the making of an automobile, of calculating machine, or a grain combine, or a milling machine, or to tens of thousands of other things. Delivery, why in this area where men have been left free to try, they deliver the human voice around the world in less than 1 second. They deliver an event visually and an emotion to any person's home when it is happening. They deliver 150 passengers from Seattle to Baltimore in less than 4 hours. They deliver gas from Texas to one's range or furnace in New York at unbelievably low rates and without subsidy. They deliver each 4 pounds of oil from the Persian Gulf to our eastern seaboard halfway around the world for less money than the government charges for delivering a 1 ounce letter across the street. The lesson I have to teach is this. Leave creative energies uninhibited. Merely organize society to act in harmony with this lesson. Let society's legal apparatus remove all obstacles the best it can. Permit these creative know-hows freely to flow. Have faith that free men and women will respond to the invisible hand. This faith will be confirmed. I, pencil, seemingly simple though I am, offer the miracle of my creation as testimony that this is a practical faith, as practical as the sun, the rain, a cedar tree, the good earth. That's pretty beautiful.
I'm sorry I didn't know it was so long. I hadn't read it in like
Yeah,
years.
pretty...
I did a condensed version of it at one point. But the point is, what do you think, Isa? That's what Simon doesn't understand. He's more authoritarian than he thinks.
He's authoritarian.
And he's constantly thinking that he's the freedom lover.
Yeah, well, I don't think he will disagree with the story of the pencil, but I mean, I think it. Oh my god, I'm super tired. I think it.
Late night?
No. Well, actually, kind of.
Oh.
I had trouble I had trouble falling asleep last night.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
That's what the Swiss men will do to you.
Yeah. it really, I am missing my words, represents or whatever, the reasons why intellectual property is, why innovation comes from other innovation and other innovations, and people build on what other people do.
To anyone like Simon that thinks that they can organize society in a way that is rational, it's very difficult to explain to them the complexity of society and how these things that he thinks are planned by smart people are not actually planned by smart people. They come about through the lesser planning of many, many people, some who aren't even smart.
I think objectivism is a very elitist philosophy.
Yeah.
Because it dictates, like, who is good enough to dictate what objective is.
Right. Yep.
And what people should value. Yeah.
Super elitist. And that's what, like, the whole... Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, you guys finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's what Atlas Shrugged is all about. Like the Gulch is all about like the elite moving there because everyone is a dumb sheep. That's what it's about. You know, and that's like Keegan, you're a Christian, so your vision is not. It's not about a heaven full of elites. It's a heaven full of loved ones, which is a different thing.
I think what Billy Graham said. He hopes that that hell is empty, right? Which is a crazy concept, but that, you know, pretty much that, you know, we're all deserving of hell, but hopefully no one goes there.
There you go. But see, so it's a different. It's not an elitist view. It's designed so that anyone can enter the kingdom of heaven.
But talking about our Christian faith, this is really for Issa as a Zionist in the world, and as a Catholic. Issa, you're Catholic, correct?
Only culturally, and even that is under question.
Well, here's my question, okay? And I heard this a few days ago, and I haven't heard a good argument against it. But now I'm hoping that maybe Issa, being the intelligent, independent woman that she is, will give me a good counter argument. So, Issa, as a Christian, you probably, hopefully believe what John writes in Revelations. Whether or not you did, maybe this with the form of tribulation, if you're pre or post tribulation, doesn't really matter. You believe in
revolutions or revelation?
Revelation.
What part?
You believe in the book Revelation written by John.
Yeah, but what part are you referring to?
Well, so
or just in general.
I'm just setting some framework here.
Okay.
So we would then agree in the prophecies of Revelation of what the Antichrist will do. And so my question here for you is, how should we as Christians be true allies in Zionism if knowing that if the nation does prosper, Israel, the nation of Israel prospers, and they are able to build the third temple, and they're able to make a peace treaty, as predicted in Daniel, that there will be a peace treaty with the Antichrist in Israel, a 7-year peace treaty, should we not want the own demise of the world itself, of end times itself, by not supporting that nation, so that hopefully we do not see...
Where exactly are you making this link? You're sounding like an idiot right now.
Well, no. Wait, I'm so sorry. Do you not know the...
In other words, you're sounding like a Protestant.
Second...
Yeah, you're sounding like a top dancer.
Whoa. Second Thessalonians 2:4 and Revelations 11:1-2.
Where in the Bible does it say that for our own good we should be against Israel? Show me exactly where it says, because that's the conclusion that you're coming to, but I really am not able to put the dots together that your Nick Fuentes and brained it.
Oh my God! Did you see? By the way, Issa, did you see that Nick Fuentes was on the live stream with Kanye, and Kanye talked about how they all should get cucked? And then he realized that the live stream was on, and he turned it off.
No, I didn't, because I don't follow either of them. I don't like them.
He was like talking about how good it is to be a cuck, and we should all get cucked. and then he realized that the live stream was on, and Kanye physically turned it off. He unplugged the camera. Yeah.
Well, I'm coming to. They are. They're probably gay, but I'm coming to just the logical conclusion that I don't want to see end times in my life.
How are you going against the third temple when that is part of the Bible?
No, it is part of the Bible, but do I want to see that fulfilled in my lifetime? No. Why would I want that? Why would I want to see that fulfilled in my life? That's my point, right? So Revelation.
So you don't want prophecy? You don't want prophecy to be fulfilled?
Not my lifetime, because that means that the end times is near, and I would rather my kids.
So you're scared of the kingdom of God?
I'm not scared at all. I don't think you understand what the end times looks like, right? It's not. It's a prosper
you know what the end times looks like.
It's a prosper time.
Were you granted skill to look into what the last days will look like, the end times will look like?
Well, again, we have an idea, right? We have an idea. That's the whole point, is that we have an idea. And my point is that if anything, it's more supportive not to support Israel. It's more supportive to not support Israel.
So you're wanting to delay prophecy. So that's the reason why your heart thinks that it is right to push back on Israel, so that
we're not just delay prophecy.
I agree with that, Isa, for the record.
What?
I agree with Keegan on this.
Of course, I know you do.
Yeah. As long as we're clear.
Both are against Israel.
But also, right, Israel, supposedly our greatest ally, is going to, again, make a peace treaty with the Antichrist, meaning that they're going to be in allyship with the person that will bring destruction to the world.
Where exactly does that say in the Bible?
Oh, yeah, let me pull it up. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Straight.
So, no. Daniel, where it says with those words, Israel will make a peace treaty with the Antichrist.
Yeah. Daniel 9:27.
Daniel 9?
Yeah.
9:27.
Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abominations shall be the one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out onto the desolate.
Where exactly does it say Israel?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you know the context of Daniel 9, or should we go through the whole context? I thought you would know your Bible. Maybe as a sola scriptura, I know the context of Daniel.
Where exactly does it say Israel? I asked you for a quote.
Yeah, Daniel 9 is speaking, and again, just as he says, it shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. This is what suggests of a temple being rebuilt, and they're doing the sacrifice and offerings that Jews do. This is talking specifically.
Also, it's your interpretation of it. It's
no.
This says so, right?
No, this is what the Pope this is what your Pope this is what your Pope. Why don't you just read what your cardinals write about Daniel 9? They'll say that this is relating to Israel, Isa. This is not my words. This is yours.
He's got a point, Isa.
But and then the middle of the week, understand that week in this term of phrase is called the 7-year tribulation, which again is written by cardinals and popes. This is not even debated among Protestants and Catholics. Tribulation, the year of 7-year tribulation, is a Catholic and rabbis here. Rabbis gonna be a lot better at explaining this.
Randy,
I'm making the point here to Isa. Why would we support Israel if Israel will side with the Antichrist? And on top of that, Israel must prosper, must be able to build a third temple. Right? Like, Israel must prosper for the end times to come. So why would we want to be an ally to someone who's just going to cause end times? Randy?
I don't think they will cause end times.
Can you explain your reason?
Not even Randy's with you.
I don't think they're going to cause end times. But are you saying if in the case that they are causing end times, why would we support them?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, but yeah, if they do this, I mean, like, if the plane crashes, nothing is crashing, dude.
If under the assumption that they are going to cause the end times, which I don't think they are able to begin with, but I don't
no, they're just going to cut the ceasefire with the Antichrist. Peace, right, Keegan? You said.
Well, the Antichrist, they're going to make a treaty.
A treaty.
With the Antichrist, a peace treaty, and the Antichrist will then stab them in the back and halfway through.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do it, but
based on Daniel 9, based on just Daniel 9:27.
Yeah, but that happened with the second destruction of the second temple.
But the only way that Daniel 9:27 is fulfilled though is with the third temple in place, because this is what Daniel 9:7 says when it says that they will be making, here, let me pull back up, but they'll be making offerings. He shall bring an end to the sacrifice and offering. Right? So the only way that the Jews are doing sacrifice and offerings is if the third temple is built.
No, but they're mixing things. They're mixing a lot of things. You're talking about Daniel 9 or Daniel 7?
Daniel, we're talking about Daniel 9 right now.
He's a process for forgiving.
Yeah, but Daniel 9 is about the second temple, not the third temple. And after the second temple is destroyed, there will be an end to sacrifice it. You see? Because there won't be a temple up until the end times.
They could build it now.
Am I misunderstanding? I thought that Jews have to have the third temple to have sacrifices and offerings. Is this wrong?
They have to have a third temple to do what?
To perform their sacrifices, like, you know, is that not true?
No, that is true, but what does that mean? Does that mean?
Well, then if Daniel 9:7 says, or Daniel 9:27 says that he's going to bring an end to sacrifices, that means that the third temple must be built. No.
No, that means that there will not after this.
Randy.
So up until the end, and they believe that in the temple will be restored by the Messiah.
You stupid fucks! It's called a metaphor. It's your brain we're talking about, you schmucks.
That's not that.
It's not literal, stupid.
Now, right? I have that understood correctly.
The temple now is your brain, you morons.
They're not gonna. They will never build a temple. They don't believe that they should build a temple.
But they could, and it would be a valid temple, right?
No, because who's going to be the priest?
Well, Migzed will be the priest, obviously.
Yeah. Migzed accepts Hebrew Israelites. He thinks. What are you talking about?
It'll be the most worthy amongst them, which they will call the Messiah.
Migzed is the most worthy. I mean, they really have a problem.
It's called a metaphor, stupid. How many times do I have to say the word metaphor or analog, analogy? Walaikum assalam, Dr. Frankie. How are you today, you terrible human being, you? Ooh, Simon's here. Simon says. Simon knows everything. Hi, Simon. Simon says.
Let the record show that Norma owes me $5,000 because he's a little bitch.
I need Rico very fast.
Well, why? Was there a new bet?
Yeah, that's right. He 2 bets, but he wouldn't keep the second one.
Yeah, but you can't hold it against
You bet him fucking clovers. 4-leaf clovers are worth $1,000 a piece. Put it in a piece of jewelry.
You can't hold it. You can't use the second bet against him if you didn't accept it. What's the first bet?
Nigga, they weren't linked bets. Nigga, you weren't even there.
No, okay, but I'm saying if we pick a bet, but you didn't accept.
Oh, you are my prize, nigga. You kicked him, so actually.
I didn't kick.
That's right.
What's with the usage of the N-word just indiscriminately? You don't make it a special usage or something? You just drop it all the time now? Is that proper English?
I didn't kick him.
That's just him clearing his throat.
Dr. Australia writes, gullible, deranged, delusional, toxic Tim.
I like him normal. Why would I kick him?
You like him like a slave.
You're stupid.
I like him like a client.
Projection alert. Projection alert.
You could be my son.
There's the fucking Klein, ISO Kleins. That's right.
I thought something changed. You guys are just simply still wasting time. I mean, it's absurd.
This is a waste of time. But you know
Simon,
what?
You missed a very important thing we read.
Yeah, Princessia, that was such a beautiful reading. Great job.
Honestly, I think she can do better.
Well, she doesn't have the stamina.
Guess we'll throw it back.
So who here thinks that intellectual property gives you the right to other people's property? Simon, what say you? Simon says...
What a waste of time.
It's true, Rennie. It does give you right to other people's property.
What gives you the right? Sorry, what? Oh, the IP?
IP, yeah.
I don't think it gives you
All right, Dr. Australia, go to my other room.
It doesn't give you the right.
Called intellectual property.
I don't think you can own intellectual property. I don't think you can own ideas. I'm sorry.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's not what it gives you. Intellectual property doesn't give you the right to the idea. What it does is it gives you the right to stop other people from arranging matter that they rightfully own in a way that approximates something that you have as an agreement with the government.
Well, the whole thing comes down to lawfare. If you have the money to fund a lawsuit to try to get the outcome you want, I mean, then that's the forced IP. But all this shit comes down to lawfare.
Right.
I feel like you can just say...
Is that why you're broke?
That you can't just profit on another person's...
Who said I'm fucking broke? I've got lots of cash. I've got a fucking $700,000 property.
Have you left your bean anytime soon?
I fucking own you. I fucking own you.
They're gonna sue your ass into oblivion after the lava chicken thing, man.
I know. You know, that was big. Thanks for bringing that back to my attention. I just want to keep doing it all the time, to tell you the truth. It's gold. It's gold, Jerry. Gold.
Yeah.
Link in the chat. Don't go to johnkitover.com. Don't go there.
Don't go to johnkitover.com because I fucking own you. Bitch, you could have had a shepherd's pie for lunch. Instead, you decided to buy my domain name. Like I give a fuck. You're going to be working the rest of your life trying to do SEO keyword optimization like that fucking matters, mate. I can give two shits.
Hold on. I had a domain ID lab. I forgot about it because too much shit was going on. Let me check.
He's busy working. He just got a government grant for the first time in his ethno state.
That might be the funniest thing. I did not. That's hilarious. I did that mistake. Queers for Palestine for John. that is phenomenal. Okay, Diego. One of my favorite memes, right? It's also a Matrix meme. It's Morpheus, and he's offering the red and the blue pill to Neo, right? And the second half of the meme at the bottom, it's Neo who's deciding. And Morpheus says in the top half of the meme, he says, Neo asked the question, he'd be like, so you're telling me all I have to do is look at the early life section? And Morpheus says, right. I'm telling you, you won't have to.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what?
So, like, my idea was, like, do you remember Hot or Not? I had the idea last night of registering Jew or Not and then just being able to do, like, a Tinder swipe. You'd be like, Jew or Not, but someone else owns JewOrNot.com.
Oh.
Yeah. The Goyim have to know. We gotta wake them up.
My favorite variation on that Morpheus meme is him. It's a cartoon version, and it's Morpheus offering the pills. And Neo takes the red pill, and then in the next comic square, Neo's passed out drooling, and it's just Morpheus's ass.
You in the Matrix? I get the last bit. It's just Morpheus's what?
I say that Neo takes the red pill, but then in the next frame, he's passed out and drooling on a bed, and it's just Morpheus' bare naked ass.
That's right.
Oh, right.
That's right.
Well, don't be taking
You're.com is for sale. Should I make an offer?
Yes.
Go.com, get this to me and make an offer. My offer is USD.
This could be a banger.
Should I offer $6 million?
That's right.
That's right. Bro, listen to me. Clown House is off the hook. I went the most DEF CON level I've ever went last night, and somehow I'm not good.
Wow.
That's right.
Can you give us the highlights?
I told Nigger Kite to eat a Cyclone B sandwich and to get back in the oven. I must have called that guy a nigger or a kike about 500 times. It started off El Norma for about 2 hours straight, and then this dipshit baby joined the fucking room and started crying. So I was like, that baby guy is like Jewish Canadian Brad, right? He sounds exactly like Brad, and it's just like, yeah, say that to my face and I'll fuck you up. You're like, yeah, bro, okay, nice story. Where are you at, right? I'm just like, and then he's crying like, why would you do this? Like, it's just from one extreme to the other. I'll fuck you up to then I'm gonna tell the teacher. Like, he's a crybaby bitch.
We don't like to say these things. We don't like to say nigger kind.
Do you prefer to say Cyclone A sandwich?
No, that's fine. But
that's right.
But refrain from using the word kind.
Why? Yes. It comes off the tongue so well.
You can say nigger, but
no, it's very.
I said what I said.
It's very like visceral and like saying like fuck.
I said
what I said. It's like
I said what I said.
It comes off. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, but I said what I said, nigga.
I didn't stutter, dude. That's right. Anyway, Fatima is in love with me. I'm sorry to tell you.
Fucking faggot.
That's right. You jealous, bro?
Yeah.
We should start doing that for Frankie as well.
Frankie! I changed my mind on Rambles, and honestly,
That's right. Mr. Steel Girl.
Still is nuts. How about that?
You'd like that?
Oh, that sexual.
That's gonna be my new handle, Mr. Steel Girl.
I'm not so sure about that one.
That's right. That's right. You couldn't steal Diego's girl. But
Go to Tim Rob's the fucking faggot leprechaun.com to see all the FBO state content you've ever.
Put the link in the chat. Put the link in the chat.
Oh, that's
TimTheFaggot.com.
This nigger went and registered a domain for me, but he wouldn't renew some domain. Obsessed with me.
Obsessed with me. Obsessed with me.
No step. No step.
All live in a little ethno state known as Northern Ireland.
ethnostate.com.
Hey, did you see? You know what was hilarious yesterday, or maybe it was the day before? We were talking with Elle, and Elle was talking about how great it is that Jews have their own Ubers and their own ambulances and their own ports and stuff. But then when you say, I want the same thing for whites, then she's like, no, that's wrong.
Oh, 100%, bro. They literally either they don't care, or like they either don't care or they don't get it, and they're shameless about it. You know?
Unbelievable, man. They have their own Ubers. Not even in the United States. They have their own Ubers in Mexico.
How do Jews have their own Ubers in Mexico?
I'm telling you, it's called Magen David. You can look it up.
So is it literally fucking kite drivers or kite passengers?
Bro, you think John can just live a life of leisure the way he does? Like, dude, he's clearly being supported by
a life of
by
leisure.
Whatever they call it, the Haganah or whatever the hell.
You gotta understand, I signed a contract with Mossad in 2022 after they heard about my clubhouse trolling, and it's been great. It's been a gravy train ever since. Technically, it all comes from USAID funding, but nobody knows any of that, so don't worry about it. Don't ask any more questions, okay? Just let me live my life of leisure. And you racist, bigoted, low IQ, white trash piece of shit, scumbag faggots. You can say all you want, register as many domain names as you want. Don't eat as many shepherd's pies as you could, you know? It's up to you. It's fucking up to you to change the world, and you are obsessed with me.
Did you put the link in the chat?
I love how.
I want to see this website. Come on.
Ramblesome, can you say I ate steak at 8 o'clock?
That's right.
He's not Scottish.
You know what I'm having for lunch today?
I
McClubas.
don't know how he says it, but it's just so awesome.
Look,
Randy's obsessed with George Galloway and just thinks that I'm Scottish.
George Galloway!
He's actually
like
he's very funny, actually.
I love this app. I can just say certain keywords and like Diego's just gonna go Randy and fucking Rabbi is just gonna go George Galloway, right? Like it's just people are just gonna start sounding off, right?
Welcome with me, Tim Randallson, on the mother of all talk shows.
Like, I swear to God, for about 10 minutes, one time I literally had a whole clown house room where no one said anything but just clown house catchphrases, right? Like that's right.
The Zionist entity known as the Benjamin Netanyahu Likud government.
That's right.
They have been genociding the Palestinian people for hundreds of years. And it is up to us, the English people of the Isles, to defend these poor indigenous aboriginals.
Brooklyn? Noda, did you see that? You saw the Jews did a pogrom on that girl?
Yeah.
They thought she was wearing a keffiyeh in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I saw it. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy,
I'm
right?
like some rabid Semites, dude.
Yeah, that's bad behavior. Really bad behavior.
Jews are not really Semites for the most part, right?
That's right.
But well, what are we supposed to call
But did
them?
you hear her interview? She said she put her mask on, and only when she put her mask on did they get pissed. So she's a fucking bitch, troll, putting on a mask, you know, fucking around.
They threw shit at her in front of the police, and the police clearly treated them like first-class citizens.
The police didn't even help her at first. It was one cop who walked her away.
Well,
I know. So
But the fact of the matter is, you know, this is 2025. If you're going to mask up, some people are going to ask some questions.
The NYPD has an office in Israel.
Hooray!
Wow.
Victory!
Facts. Like, look it up.
I mean, John, are you ashamed of your people and what they
It's
did?
not. They're not my people.
Politics?
These are just called people. And you dumb fucks who use terms like white people, black people, hard R's all the time. You guys are stupid, and you're wasting your time as I record you and put you across the interwebs, and I steal your intellectual property.
I take your milkshake.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it all up.
John, you have to give some lip service to the shame of what the Jews did in that day, and what's in their hearts, man. Do they even have souls?
Listen, an annoying young woman.
I heard that Tay-Sachs disease is called the soulless disease.
Okay, can you explain it? What happened?
They basically did a pogrom on this girl who's not even Palestinian.
Pogrom. There's a bunch of smiling, laughy, goofy guys laughing at her, pointing at her. They didn't spit on her. They didn't do anything to her.
What do you mean? They threw objects at her, dude.
What did they throw at her? A piece of
Basically,
paper?
a bunch of rabid Jewish criminals went.
Rabid Jewish criminals?
Because she put her scarf around her face, and they thought she had a keffiyeh.
Yeah, well, you know what? She was a protester. I don't know if you heard her interview, but she's a troll and she's an annoying person. And this is what happens to annoying trolling people. They get attacked, just like me.
This is what happens.
This
when
is
you
why
fuck an
people
Israeli
register.
in the ass.
Good one.
Comedy comedian.
Hey, Rico, how are you doing?
What does it matter at the end of the day?
It doesn't matter.
Because, dude, if it was done to a Jew, they would have carpet bombed Brooklyn.
She was Jewish. What are you talking about?
Probably, to be honest with you.
What else was she there for? Yeah, she was there for something.
No, something funny about Jews. Every time we catch someone who is like doing like they're drawing swastikas on the walls publicly, or
They did a mitzvah. Well, you do realize psychology.
What you doing there, Rabbi? Painting a swastika?
Dude, we caught someone in Montreal. We got someone in Montreal, and she's doing a Heil Hitler sign, and she's doing all that stuff. And it turns out she's a Jewish woman who like.
She's a Yiddish guy.
Yeah, she's a Jewish woman. After they caught her.
Is there any other group of people that try to manufacture circumstances in their favor?
The Northern Irish, the fucking Northern Irish Webmaster Association that you're a part of.
Same goes for the trucker convoy here in Canada. Everyone starts saying, "Oh, it's the Nazis! Oh, these guys are far." Why? Because there was one guy who had like a swastika thingy. I bet my ass he's a Jew, 100%.
Listen, you guys are talking about the Jews, the N-words, but what do you do in terms of self-reflection and personal insight and self-actualization? What do you faggots actually even do with your life other than come on here and say Jew every third sentence and just talk when other people are talking and no one can even hear you, but yet you still keep talking because you want the fucking dopamine? You're fucking pathetic.
John, talking about the Jews is all about self-reflection because we use you guys as a sign of what not to do in our lives. That's right. Big example of what not to do.
That's right.
Not to live.
An example or a warning, right?
You mean to tell me you analyze the media and use other people's intellectual property to determine how to best analyze your life and make decisions? That's a true praxeologist position. I can understand that. But the point is, if you're a self-taught economist and all you do is read Ayn Rand all day long and quote Ayn Rand, are you really living life? Are you really alive? Are you even alive? Are you even breathing? Are you even here right now? You're in a social audio chat talking about nothing, wasting your time.
What a waste of time. What a waste of time. Well, Rabbi, you have to bring good conversation or I'm going to have to bring it back up.
Well, there can be no conversation when stop screaming.
Oh my God, what did that PTR? Oh, fuck. God damn. Why is it green?
Oh, Masanda. Wow. Masanda is my new favorite person on Funhouse. What are you guys seeing, man?
Why does Issa have a room called Bobadia's Intervention Room?
What are you guys seeing?
Hold on. No one speak. 1 second. Did you notice how you turned this into a drama situation, right?
It's not drama, it's funny.
Did you notice how you literally jumped
Why are you white knighting for Bobadia, Brandy?
No, it's not about Bobadia.
Why are you white knighting, bro?
I've been wrestling with Bubble Butt.
Are you a gentleman or are you gay?
No, why are you sipping?
Are you a gentleman or are you gay?
But why are you sipping for Bubble Butt?
I'm not. I'm deriding and ridiculing.
Okay, so like,
are you being a gentleman or are you gay?
So why?
Are you being a gentleman or are you gay?
I'm not even telling you not to do it. I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you if you notice that you literally just. This is how you start.
I ridicule everyone. The Jews more equally than others, but I ridicule everyone.
No one's talking about you. I'm talking about Bubble Butt.
That's right. Like you're literally talking.
I'm not even telling you not to do it, Bubble Butt, but I'm just telling you. I'm just hoping you notice that you just.
How is it drama? The room is in the hallway.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm asking you if you see it. It's funny.
Because
it's funny.
Well, I'm just saying it's drama. So.
How is it drama? You can see it in your hallway. What's the drama?
Diego, can you go on ChatGPT and ask it what is drama and how to...
Yeah, what is the drama? It's funny. What's the problem?
Okay, I will do it for you. So I have to work, but that's fine.
But this is more important.
What is drama? How can I explain to a white American woman what drama is and why it is drama to constantly talk about other people rather than facts. Drama is often used to informally describe unnecessary emotional conflict, especially when it's exaggerating or someone is setting off when they are involved in their offenses, often in a way that interpersonal issues.
Amazing. So, saying that the title of the room in the hallway.
Simple way to explain it to a white American woman is as follows. Drama is when people focus on personal conflict.
You're in the list. Amazing.
Well, I'm just trying to explain it to a white woman.
I know. Read it in your
Often making things bigger than they need to be when conversations constantly revolve around what others are doing. When conversations constantly revolve around what others are doing, who said what, and passing judgment, it pulls attention away from real topics like ideas or shared interests, and keeps people stuck in emotional noise.
It was literally just a funny room title, and you could have
It centers judgment and speculation, not facts or ideas. It creates or fuels social tension, especially when subjects aren't present to speak for themselves. It often lacks a purpose beyond emotional venting or control. Over time, it builds an environment where trust erodes because people fear being the next topic.
Right.